Smallville's Lois and Clark took a different route to love. Not quite enemies, but frenemies to lovers. It was a slow burn that lasted 7 seasons, but in the end they made their way to classic Lois and Clark territory. When they met, he wasn't quite himself. He had been stripped, so to speak, of his human side and had been left with just Kal-El. So the classic banter between the two didn't start until he had regained his true self. On the surface, they were annoyed with each other and barely liked to admit that they were actually friends. But to those on the outside, they could see that there was something there, bubbling just under the surface. Sometimes their aversion to each other seemed a little like the lady doth protest too much. For instance, when Lois and Clark went undercover at a strip club and they both acted like they could barely stand to touch each other. It was a little over-the-top reaction for someone who was just in a bikini. Season 6 had a couple of examples of Lois and Clark's spark. First, when they kissed when she thought he was the Green Arrow. Afterwards, she would admit that she thought he was an even better kisser than Oliver. Second was Crimson, when she and Clark were under the influence of her red kryptonite lipstick. It's been established that Clark doesn't do things out of character when on Red K. It just lowers his inhibitions. This time, when his inhibitions were lowered, he was all over Lois. There was also a tiny little spark between them when Clark was having his It's a Wonderful Life moment when Jor-El was showing him what Earth would be like if he hadn't landed there. But I feel the turn in their relationship started in season 7 after they comforted each other after big breakups. First, Clark comforted Lois after her breakup with Oliver. Then Lois comforted Clark after his breakup with Lana. Season 8 brought them together at the Daily Planet. And if Lois was honest with herself, she was already crushing them. But her feelings really showed when an alien named Maxima came to Earth in search of Clark in order to make him her mate. She was not a happy camper. Then there's that scene in Identity when she makes Clark zip up her dress, and when you see the reverse angle, she's smiling. But it all comes together at Chloe's wedding to Jimmy. The attraction is mutual. They dance. Then
can't believe it.
It all comes apart with the arrival of Lana. It was a setback, but they spend the rest of season 8 building their friendship and moving back to the place they were at the wedding. Season 9, Lois went into hyperdrive. The crushes had developed into deeper feelings. They moved beyond just friends territory. This is when they start dating and have their first real in-present timeline kiss. Discounting, of course, Lois's jaunt into the future where they did more than just kiss. As Clark and Lois's romantic relationship grew, he continued to play with fire by talking to Lois as the Blur. And he found himself in a romantic triangle with his girlfriend and himself. Lois knows there's more to Clark than what he's letting on, but he continues to keep his secret, which opens her up to being tricked and confused by Zod, and forces Clark to step in and save her. After which she finally realizes Clark is the Blur.
Clark.
Season 10 brought the declaration of love, followed by literal floating on air. So sweet. Then Clark finally revealed his secret to Lois. So season 10 is now about how Lois can support Clark in his world-saving endeavors. Things don't always go smooth, but in the end they work it out. Which of course is why Clark ultimately proposes. Before the wedding, Lois has cold feet, but that goes away once she reads Clark's vows. So she in turn lets him read hers. They have the sweetest wedding, interrupted of course by world-ending chaos, but follow through getting married 7 years later. And finally, many years after that, they're back on the farm with children of their own, and Clark has given up being Superman just to be with them. I think I find their story so sweet because it spans so many seasons, and because they didn't immediately jump into a cliched love triangle between him, Lana, and Lois. It was one of the slowest burns, and it paid off nicely in the end. So, are you a Chloe stan or are you Klana forever? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to know the next time I upload or go live.